Welcome to part 3 of the do-it-yourself arcade kit. We did manage to get the cabinet built. Only had some minor hiccups, even though we did not have the instructions. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and move to the art. I want to go ahead and start with the control panel, so it'll be nice and easy. It's just one little small piece of wood. This lifts up. I really do like this about this cabinet. It makes it easy to get to the controls. The other ones that I've done have been really a pain in the ass to get in and work on any kind of buttons or joystick wiring, so that's great. The theme that I have for this is Star Wars. It's the same art as the Atari Star Wars arcade full-size cabinet or cockpit too. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to look good. So the first thing I want to do is pull out the art and make sure we have everything. We should have 2 pieces of side art. We should have a control panel overlay, and we should have a marquee. And then we'll go ahead and start on the control panel. We'll move on to the side art, and then the marquee and these marquee brackets, and the T-molding will be after that. So stick around, and
I'm Walter Day, the father of esports, and you're watching Matty Mo's Arcade.
And you know how long it's been since I played Whac-A-Mole?
I'm getting ready to attack, fanny pack attached. Tokens are all stacked, got the mallet in my grasp, waiting for the moles, hiding in their holes. Score, we're keeping tally, I'll be playing till they close now. Can't nobody beat my high score. You can't beat my high score. Can't nobody beat my high score. You can't beat my high score. I'm a mallet master, a single-fisted blaster. You can ask my baby, it starts slow then gets faster. I'm a record setter.
So let's check out this art. Sorry about the basement noise in the background. Whenever you order art, you always want to check and just make sure you have everything, make sure the quality is as good as you were expecting, make sure there aren't any imperfections in the print or the ink, anything like that. It's much easier to let the printer know and get a refund or get a replacement if you haven't stuck it to the game. Okay, so it looks like we have, I hope I don't have to cut this out. I really thought this was pre-cut, and it does not look like that it is. That, I guess that they kind of need to do that, but I don't like it. So what I am going to do with this is I'm just going to trim a little closer around these edges, because I don't need all this, and it's going to make it much harder for me to tell where my edges are to get the art straight. I don't like that. But this is the only person offering this art, and I'm pretty sure I can get around all these. They're not actually wrinkles, they're just little wrinklets. They're not creases is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Let's check out the other side here. Side's a little bit better. There is some dirt on here. That's another thing, you want to really make sure that your work surface is clean and your art is clean, because if you get your card on here and you're going to squeeze out the bubbles and you got big pieces of dirt and stuff on there, you're gonna put big scratches on your side art before you ever even get it on the game, which would be a disaster. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Same thing with all of this art. I'm going to trim it down. Okay. Now we have the control panel and the marquee. I'm actually going to take this marquee. Oh, never mind. It's pretty good. It's actually on the proper material you would expect the marquee to be on. See if I can get a little bit better view for you. Oops, wrong way, wrong way. Not bad though. It's the one thing I'm curious about is if light will shine through it or not. I don't think the original game had a light behind the marquee. I could be wrong though. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the cabinet at the neutral zone, and I don't remember ever changing the bulb on it personally, so I just don't think it has one in there. But let's check out this control panel overlay. I'm impressed by that. I think I read that too. I just didn't remember. For some reason, I was expecting a sticker, and I'm gonna have to come up with some solutions for it. So I don't know. Okay, well, there's numbers here, so I'm assuming the numbers are gonna face me so that I can read it. So at least that tells me which way we're gonna go. And we do have a fit. So looks like we have a little tiny bit of an overhang on all four sides, which that's fine. We'll just come by with a razor knife and trim off all the excess on the sides. And we're also going to have to cut out the buttonholes because this one isn't pre-cut. But I'll show you how to do that, and I'll get us set up for that right now. Actually, I don't want to roll that up anymore. So I pretty much got everything sitting here. And I mixed up this. This is warm water and just a tiny bit of soap and just a tiny little bit of Windex. But I'm going to use that to, number one, clean this off. But number two, I'm going to spray it down before I apply this, so that if I make a mistake and I need to pull it up, it's going to be damp enough that it won't stick all the way. And then we'll come by and we'll squeegee it off with a card and make sure you get this. I'm going to make sure we're in frame real well. That's pretty good. Let me take a break real quick. I'm going to set up the lights, make sure it's real nice. I was wrong about the art. It is cut to the right size. There's just a masking over it, and the masking is bigger than what I was looking at. I did cut this down anyway, because I want to get a better idea, like I said, of where it's sitting at on the wood whenever I put it on here. And so that'll be good there. Kind of decide, do I want these numbers here at the bottom or the ones at the top? Ones at the top would be cut off. But I want to overlap everywhere though. I think that's probably going to be my best option. I just want to make sure that it's square. I don't want it to be like this, which I'm pretty bad at. But let's start with, let's clean our work surface. Oh, this bottle sucks. Oh no. There we go. It doesn't take much. That was probably too much. Alright. And these buttonholes kind of make it a drag to wipe across. They have a good ridge to them, but I want to leave that because I'm going to ride that with my knife. I can see right there, there's a little spot taken out. That could cause me problems. Same there. Okay. Now, I might end up blocking it, but I want to make sure this is right. I don't want it to be goofy. And then I have clamps. I'm going to have to do this on my knees here. Because I want to make sure it's the same. You also want to make sure your clamps are not scratching up your overlay. So I'm just kind of making sure that the overhang is the same going both ways. So let's kind of check it now. So you come up a little bit on that side. So let me come around so I can see if you can see it or not. Hoping that it's all square. I'm just making sure that that edge is about as close to even as possible. And that should leave me with the sides about the same. Well, I don't know if they'll be the same, but they should be square. And you're going to cut this off, so it's not going to matter a whole lot that it's exactly perfectly square and all that. But you might want to pick, if you like, say, you know, this part of the art better than you do this part, you might want to, you know, center it a little differently so that you don't cut off half of this or something like that, for example. I'm going to go this way. Okay, so I'm going to apply this end first. And I'm going to pick a spot. Let's see, I'm going to make sure I know which way is up and down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a spot and I'm going to put my tape across here. For some extra insurance that it's going to hold. I'm actually going to go right about there. Okay, so I kind of went around it like that so that I know that it's stuck to the wood for sure. I'm going to do that one more time. There's a reason for the madness. Okay, more piece of tape. And if you don't have masking on your art, you may not want to like really press down like I just did on there. I don't have to worry about it because it's not the actual art there. Which is, I like that better. It means it's, well, in my opinion, it's better art because it's easier to apply. I don't have to worry about my card now because whenever I'm going over it, I'm just going over the masking. Unless there's something in between the masking and the art, then we're really in trouble. Okay, so now I can take off these from this end. So we have one end clamped, and this end is free, and this is the end that we're going to apply first. And once again, I'm going to just check the camera. I don't want to go through and do all this and nobody saw me. Okay, let me get the other bottle, Windex. So I ended up just using some cheap glass cleaner. This is stuff from the dollar store. And you can be pretty liberal there. And then what you want to do is, or this is how I do it. I'm sure there's many ways of doing this. but I peel the backing off and I pull my art out, and then I'll, if possible, I'll cut this off. And you want to do this as straight as possible just to help yourself out. Make sure I'm not cutting the art behind it. And this helps that it's a nice little tiny control panel. But it's the exact same process if you're going to do it on a full size. And same thing with the cabinet. Okay, I need the card. Oh, damn it, I left my card over there. Stay. Oh, it's in my other pocket, damn it. Now here's where I'm hoping we can get these little wrinkles out and it's not going to be an issue. But you want to start, I'll show you from the side angle over here. Now remember here we still have some backing, and then we're going to come off the backing somewhere right in here. You just slowly try to get out the bubbles, and if we have any bubbles, that's okay. I'll show you how to deal with that too. This is a pretty thick material here. It's actually, we got so much water it doesn't want to stick at all. Okay, so there's some bubbles forming in that little wrinkle there. And it's right where the buttonholes are. And since we have all the water down here, we're not really having any issues. We're going to be able to squeeze out all this air with the liquid. Okay. And there's that little piece I was referring. Since I know it's there, I kind of felt it, and I'll go around it and not be real aggressive at it, because I'll end up tearing the art. Same with these buttonholes, you don't want to be real aggressive around them. You also have holes for your joystick in the corners. And you guys can probably see any bubbles that I have a lot better than I can at the moment. But once we get done filming, I'll take care of it. See a little bit right there. But if you end up with a big bubble and it's in the middle, say you're doing a whole cabinet and it's in the middle of the cabinet and you just can't get it to the edge, you can take like a safety pin or a needle, something out of a sewing kit, and just poke the tiniest little hole in it, and then just really careful, you kind of squeeze the air out of it as you're applying it, and it'll kind of fill that gap. And if you do it right and you just kind of work your way out or towards it at a good angle, you don't want to just be tearing at it and you'll rip that hole open, but you should be able to get it out that way. I see a little bit of imperfections, but it's not going to be perfect because of the all the holes in it. Like I said, there was all that sharp feeling, but that really doesn't matter because we're going to cut those holes out, and then we're gonna fill the hole, so it won't matter. Now we can take all of this off, really. And this is pretty much the same method that I'm going to use for the cabinet. I'm going to peel it back. remove this backing. Give this side a nice good bath. And then rinse, lather, and repeat, right? Actually, I'm going to try to pull this off of here if I can. Get all my finger junk all over the glue on the other side. Okay. Good enough. Practically perfect, right? This isn't doing much, is it? Too much water or too much crease. Hopefully we can run that off of there. We'll come back to it. I think we can squeeze the water out. It'll be all right. Hopefully. It's right there in the middle, and there's nothing I can do. It's totally dry there. Surely the glue is better than that on this. Come on. I'm assuming it's just because it's so damp. And have another problem with this one here. Okay, I don't really think I'm doing much with this card. Maybe a little less Windex. Okay, now let's see if we can actually do some work on this thing. This card is kind of wimpy. Let's see if I can find a gift certificate or something in my pocket without a jagged edge. That's wimpy too. Perfect. This one's already been used. I don't have to worry about anybody stealing numbers off of it. It's a little better, okay? A little better card. Less wimpy. Plus we're getting this water out, so it's gonna, the glue is gonna start taking hold. There we go. That's a lot better. It's hard to be careful and be aggressive at the same time. That's better anyway. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera. It's really bad right there to there. But the art for the control panel feels a lot better than it does for the side of the cabinet. Like, it's a lot more durable. I think it'll hold up better against hands and scratches and whatnot. I think we're alright. Hopefully it's good to go next to these buttonholes, because I see a lot of movement going on here. I don't mind if it looks funny in the hole, as long as this is good on the edge. Plus we're gonna put the button over these. So if you're cutting out your buttonholes and you screw up a little bit and it's just not a perfect circle, you're totally fine. As long as you don't go too far into the wood. because like I said, your button will cover some of the edge of the hole. It's not a lot, but you do have some wiggle room for some mistakes. There's another little spot right there. It's right on the buttonhole though. Okay. Yeah, I can see it there. We also have a little bit of overhang on the edge we're going to have to cut off. And I don't like doing that where these buttons are. Not used to dealing with a control panel with so many buttons. I usually just make multi-cades with 16-1s in them. Actually, I've done Game Elf cabinets before, but I never made one from scratch other than these little kits. Okay, it's better. I still see some bubbles that I'm going to have to work out. But this is how you work them out. You just have to be real patient and get the light out and chase them all down, which I will continue to do this, but I'll probably do it off camera because I don't know how much time I have on this video, and I wanted to do more than the control panel. So I will continue to do this, and then we will come back in just a few minutes and cut these buttonholes out and trim the edges. And then we'll probably have to go back over and do this some more after that. Way too much liquid, I think. I don't think the glue is as strong as I was expecting it to be. Usually, once you get it down, it just stays pretty damn good. Alright, I think we can work with that. Actually, that might be good enough to roll with. Let's see if I can get it in the light. The only thing I see is the edges here. Maybe I'm going to let it dry out for a second too. The edges anyway. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, let's let it dry for a second. Okay. I'll take a cigarette break and we'll come back. This is exactly why I filmed these for you guys. I did make a mistake. It's minor. But what I should have done is taken a real fine grit sanding block and gone over this a couple times and around the edges before I did this, because all of this is raised and the water is trapped and I can't get it out of there. I will be able to once I puncture this for the holes. Same with on these outside edges. Just can't get the water off because I can't get it over that lip. Not a big deal. We'll get through it. I do have a brand new blade for my knife. You don't want to mess around with this, especially if you're doing it for yourself. You don't want to screw up your art. You want to go real slow, take your time, definitely use a fresh blade. I'm going to show you how to do one outside edge here and then one buttonhole, and then I'm actually going to stop the camera and I'll show you how to do these little holes for the bolts too. I'm going to take my time and do this off camera because it gets real hairy in here. There's just not a lot of wood to go around for this sticker to stay around, and I just don't do a very good job when I'm doing it on camera at these weird angles. So I am going to show you how I do it though, so that you can mimic me or screw up the same way as I do. Now what I'm going to do is just get right on the edge, and I'm going to use this line as my guide to cut it. But I'm going to let the knife do all the work, and this is why you want a real nice sharp blade. Just come in right at the edge, hold it right on that seam, Just let it do all the work for you. Same thing going this way. Just want to keep it right on that edge. Keep this nice and taut. Hopefully I'm on camera. And then you don't really need to saw. I just did that to start. If you're sawing, it's going to mess it up, most likely. Just like that. As long as you have a nice fresh blade. It does feel like maybe I need to come back and get a little bit more off this edge here. But not a big deal. You won't be able to see any of this anyway when the game's put together. And since it does have that nice edge, and I didn't sand it off, it makes this a lot easier to do like that. This one's, just in case I didn't get that on camera, this one's a nice, should be a nice easy one too. So I'm just getting it right up against the edge and then sliding it down. Pretty easy. Hopefully I'm on camera for you guys. I'm going to switch hands. Here's where it gets dangerous. I'm actually going to turn it this way. I don't trust that hand, actually. And it was already starting to go off course. Don't fall, don't fall. Okay. There we go, found the edge. Let's find that edge and write it on down. Okay, and then we're going to do the buttonholes the same way. Let's do this one right here. Oh, that one's got that really bad funky spot. This one will be good here. So we're just going to find the, it doesn't have to be right exactly on the edge, but the closer you are to the edge, the better. And like I said, you try not to saw, but you will have to a little bit. And then you want to hold your blade at an angle right on that edge. And also, like I said, and I'll show you here in just a second, if you do just take a little bit off of this circle and it's just not quite perfect, that's going to be totally fine too. As long as you don't mess up too bad. There we go. And that looks pretty good. So let me grab a button real fast. Right behind you. I think I'm going to go with red and blue buttons. I think blue for player 1 and red for player 2 because of lightsaber colors. Even though there's a little bit of controversy on whether or not Luke's is blue because it was really his father's. But, you know, dork, 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 dork. I don't know why I put that nut on there all the way. That was unnecessary. So, let's say you didn't get this in a perfect circle around here and it was just kind of jagged all around, you know, and it looks like a third grader did it or something. You put your button in and you drop it in, it's going to cover most of that. Unless you come out real far and rip it up into here, you're going to be fine. You'll never see it. So that's one good thing. And it looks like that will be fine as far as my little water situation. I'll be able to push it out here now. It should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do this from a proper angle, just like I did there. Let's go ahead and do one of these holes for the bolts. So what I do with these, I think that's one of them, right? Okay. What I do with these, it's real easy. Just get right in the center and then put yourself a little
a little cut. And if you can do like you did a buttonhole and cut it out, definitely do, because this the laminate here for the art can stick to the bolt and start twisting, and it can actually twist up your art all the way around that bolt, and you don't want that to happen. So if you can cut this out of here, even better. If not, be real careful when you're tightening up your last little bolt. And same thing with this, your bolt head is going to cover up a little bit of the jaggedness. So it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but you do want to, you know, stay in the lines. Okay, there we go, that was a little better. And as you can see, it's hard to work out here so that the camera can see. But hopefully you're getting enough of the idea of what I have. And just like the button, I'll grab a bolt and we'll try to cover this up. So already I can see too much wood, so like I would have been upset had I, you know, if I didn't know that the bolt head was going to cover it up. Like, oh no. Which, I've been there, I've done that. So let me get a good angle for you so you can see. I didn't really mess up on the button too much, but let's see if we can see that there. So it's just not quite cut as well as I'd like it. It's not horrible. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but let me take one of these little bolts that go on there. It's just a screw, basically. Lock washer or a lock nut on it. Put this in here. Oh, it screws in, of course. So it's going to take me an extra 40 seconds. I'm starting to run out of time on my camera. It's another reason why I can't cut out all the holes with you guys. I would have got my screw gun out had I known. Okay, so now I have it screwed all the way through. There's no binding, and it didn't tear up my my panel, and you also can't see any of that little mess up that it was from cutting it out. There's a better shot at the buttonhole, but I'll show you some of the edge here. I'm gonna have to come over and get a little bit of this where I switched hands, but other than that, it's pretty good. That should get you going. I'm gonna go ahead and break here and cut the rest of this out, and then we'll take a look at it and put it back in the game. I'll be right back. I did forget one thing. Well, I didn't forget. I just forgot to mention it. We never did take the masking off of the art. So I'm going to do that in a reveal. Oh man, it's on there pretty good. This is going to be a little easier. Oh. Actually, I probably should have left this on here until gave it to the customer. Alright. So there we go. In the light. Oh, I'm just going to kick everything tonight. Looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and throw it on the cabinet. And then we can, oh come on. And we can take a look, see what it looks like with buttons and joysticks on it. So you just want to slide the guy in there from behind. Slide it in from behind. This should be a little easier. There we go. Alright. Now let's take a gander at that. See what we think about it. See what we think about it with a little bit of button and joystick action. I think it looks pretty good. The spots that I was worried about with it kind of showing that the edges of the buttonholes and the very outside of the
control panel. It all looks fine now. It's got a chance to dry a little bit more too. It looks really good. So next step's going to be to do the side art in the next video. And then after that, we will move on to the marquee and marquee brackets and stuff. And then we can go ahead and finish the T-molding. As far as the actual buttons and joysticks that I'm going to use, those probably won't be in for another couple weeks. But there's plenty of work to do on this guy still aside from that. So we will keep it going and stay tuned. I think within the next couple days here, I'll have the next video up for the side art. We're going to go ahead and just keep staying on this every few days and do another video, and eventually we'll have all the parts in, and it'll probably be about time to finish it by the time we get everything in. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Like I said, just be a couple days. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. So these two right here are going to be ground and 5 volt. So what do we get here? Did I not turn the game on? I didn't turn the game on. I guess that would help. Hang on.
Here it is. A nice little trade. The person I traded got what they wanted. I got what I wanted. And a pretty good deal on it too.
Super hang on. Get what I want.
That comes later.
Yeah.
Okay. It's on fire.
What? Whoa.
Lots of smoke.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching.
When you take care of people, people take care of you in this community.
That's the truth.
So everyone, please remember that. Even if we're competitors, we're not enemies.